What's poppin', players? Welcome back to the Two Penny Gamescast, episode 110. I am your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good friend and co-host, Connor Elliott. Say hello to the people, Connor.
Hello.
Now, Connor, how you been?
Good.
You been good?
Looking up at me?
Been having a good time? I've been having a good time. I've been busy. Man. School started. I moved into my apartment. It's just been a busy week for me, man. I was in here last week, but now I'm fully in. Everything's unpacked, put away. It's been just a busy week for me. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, every week, me and Connor, we sit down and we talk to you about the new news concerning the video game industry. We each bring to you two topics, two pennies, if you will, and we give you our 2 cents on them. If that's not enough, you can catch us over at twitch.tv/2pennygames, in which we, whenever we have time, have gamers doing some real gamer moments. It's me, it's Phil, it's every once in a blue moon, Connor himself. Come by, check us out, and follow us on there. You can always catch VODs when appropriate up on the YouTubes, on the youtube.com/2pennygamescast. And you can also catch this podcast on mainstream podcast services of your choice. Now, Connor, let's jump right into it. Let's drop some cents on them. We've got big news, lots to talk about here. Let's start with opening night live. Jeff Keighley's Gamescom opening night live happened 2022. Connor, it was a long 2 hours, a full 2 hour presentation, full 2 hour showcase. What were your thoughts? Did you watch it? And what were some standouts for you?
Well, I didn't watch it live. Did you, by chance?
No.
No. Okay. Well, yeah. Since I didn't watch it live, but overall, it was pretty nice. I mean, there's a lot of maybe a little bit too many, cinematic trailers that didn't really show off a lot of gameplay for multiple games that looked like they could be interesting. Like, we'll go through them in a little bit, so we'll get to it then. But for the most part, everything seemed to have, like, every now and then would have something that piqued my interest. It could have, would showcase a game that I could see myself playing, but it wasn't anything super crazy. Nothing that made me, open my mouth in shock or anything like that. So, it was enjoyable. Did its job.
I'm with you. Off the back of last year's Game Awards and the Summer Game Showcase, I think this is the best Keighley presentation in a while. I'm with you where, like, nothing was jaw-dropping. I never really got my mind blown by anything, but at the same time, it was 2 hours, which I think was a bit long. We could probably shave 15 to 30 minutes off of that. But I thought advertisements were kept to a minimum, which was really well appreciated. There was a lull in the middle, but I felt like it picked back up in the last third or last part. And I'm with you where, like, I felt like maybe just a few too many cinematic trailers for games that maybe didn't need to make the cut. I appreciate Keighley's insistence on showing as much as he can and giving as much of a spotlight to as many games and as many studios as possible, but do we need a Lords of the Fallen cinematic trailer with no date, no gameplay, nothing really to, like, tell us when it's happening? I don't know.
But that one was pretty cool. It
was a dope trailer. It was a dope trailer. I'm not gonna lie. It was a really dope trailer.
That was funny to me, but we'll get more on that specifically later when we go through and see what the big things that were revealed. But
exactly. Yeah. Now, ladies and gentlemen, usually with these big things that happen, we usually like to do a game-by-game breakdown. We don't have time for that. It was 2 hours. It's so fucking long, and there was more news to talk about this week. So instead, me and Connor are just going to kind of go through. We got a list from Polygon here of everything that was shown off, and we're just going to kind of scroll through and pick out some of our favorites. It started off with the game Everywhere, which I do want to touch on just because I felt this is weird. This is a weird game. We started with it, and it's just kind of a game that it feels like it's promising to be every type of game ever. So
yeah, I guess
I don't know what we're getting with this, and this is weird, and it's maybe trending in a direction that I'm not quite sure of. It had multiple different art styles, multiple different types of possible gameplay things, and I just thought overall it was a very strange thing to start with. But it left an impression because it left me, sitting there being like, I wonder what that is.
Yeah, it was striking. I mean,
very looked good. It looked beautiful. Every time it switched art forms and or possible gameplay mechanics, I was like, what the fuck is this game? But it felt very metaverse, which I don't think is a real thing that's going to actually take off. But,
This is going to be kind of a trend, though, of seeing things that could be really cool, but we don't really see much from them to make big judgments on.
Exactly.
So
but looked something to keep an eye on for sure, I think. Hogwarts Legacy, I thought had a pretty cool trailer to it. Nice little cinematic thing. Nothing too crazy about it, but it was solid. Tales from the Borderlands, new Tales from the Borderlands. I'm a big original Tales from the Borderlands fan, but the Telltale obviously not taking care of this one. This is all in-house with Gearbox. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, did not do much for you.
I wasn't feeling I wasn't feeling one way or the other about it. I just need more. I know they say it's coming this October. We'll see. But I don't know. We'll get to Dead Island 2. Callisto Protocol continues to be a game that I think is gonna be like possibly my personal game of the year. I think objectively, like God of War Ragnarok or Elden Ring is the best game of this year, but Callisto Protocol continues to like every time I see it, I'm like, fuck, I want to play this fucking game so bad.
Yeah, that one really looks like Dead Space. The more I see it,
it's straight. It's unapologetically Dead Space in the best way. I agree.
Yeah.
Connor, anything that jumped out to you, my friend? I don't want to hog up all the airspace with my interests here.
Yeah, sure. I was satisfied to see Dead Island 2 there, so I could, shut up all of the people who kept saying that it was never going to come out. Can't remember who that was exactly, but someone just kept saying it all the time, and they just. I don't know. Guess they're wrong somewhere, wherever they are.
You're a piece of shit.
That was easy to me when it came up.
No, Dead Island 2 shocked me. I was surprised to see Dead Island 2 returned, and I'll say it looks good.
Yeah.
Like I liked what I saw there. The trailer was really well put together, and then the bits of gameplay we saw looked fun, but it was at the end of a 2-hour showcase, so I got a little tired. I was a little tired by the time I saw it, so it didn't blow me away, but it looked like a remarkable improvement over the first game, which surprises me because this game has changed a couple of studios, and studios have gone under working on this game, so it's a shock that it looks presentable at all. Looks like a good 7 or low 8 out of 10 game, and I'm shocked it looks that good.
Hey, some things they might be in production hell, but doesn't mean they're screwed forever.
Exactly. Gotham Knights I thought had one of its better presentations in a while, but what really caught my eye and I made what made me go, I want to kind of play that is Friends versus Friends. Sort of a card-based shooter in the likes of sort of reminds me of the what is that game that I've been playing for a minute? What is it called? Neon White. So I was enjoying what I was seeing in that. I like that it's like a little PvP action style game. I thought the trailer was really well put together, and I thought when it actually cut to gameplay, I thought it looked pretty good as well. Something I definitely want to try out. I think to make any type of noise, it needs to be a free to play game. So hopefully, hopefully we'll get something out of here with like a bunch of cool cosmetics and customization with all the different characters you can play as and stuff, and all the animals you can sort of dress up and play as. But I think the name Friends versus Friends is genius, and I think sort of a deck building type thing where you go into a match and you have this like pre-built deck and you just use your cards as you can. Definitely something that I'm now looking forward to. I liked Friends versus Friends quite a bit.
Yeah, they're really nice stylistic presentation. One of the more standout things from it. I remember watching it. I was like, oh, it's going to be card-based. And honestly, that stuff usually kind of turns me off. But it was pleasing to see it actually look like it's being implemented in a way that I find very enjoyable. So I'm waiting.
Check out Neon White, Connor. Play Neon White with me.
I know I need to. Yeah. I know. But you want me to beat your score?
I want us to compete, go back and forth, and play some levels. I haven't given a full impressions or review of Neon White because I only spent an hour or so playing, but I really enjoyed what I played. Connor,
another one that interested me.
Go ahead.
Real quick, I just wanted to get it out of the way because it looks like we'd seen Lies of P beforehand, and it was being it's like Bloodborne. It looks like Bloodborne.
It does look like Bloodborne.
I saw it and I was like, well, okay, well, but it looked different enough, and it's kind of always just been an interesting game whenever we do see it, though we haven't seen much from it. So now to see a more extensive gameplay and story trailer for it, I'm pretty interested. I don't know
This
if
is a
it'll
game
be
I know
as
I've seen
good,
it
but
before.
as I think it's going to be, but still.
I'm sorry, I cut you off there at the end. What was
No,
that?
you're fine. It doesn't look as good as it, you know. It's not like super engaging to me with how the gameplay looks. Like it's gonna knock my socks off. But I can see myself enjoying this game. I'll be interested to try it when it comes out.
You know what? I want to try it too because I really like the art style. I like how bright it is, and I like that it seems to have some type of narrative focus. And I like that it's it's playing with the Pinocchio story.
Yep.
And I like that we're getting these revisioned versions of Geppetto and Jiminy Cricket, or rather just his conscience or whatever, because I know Jiminy Cricket is copyrighted by Disney. But mechanically and gameplay wise, it actually did catch my attention quite a bit. From what I can tell, though, I think where it's going to falter is maybe in the level design area. Because it looks like it could be one of those games to where, remember, what was that stealth indie game that we played? Styx? Remember Styx?
Styx, yes.
Yeah. The Styx's level design, I think, was the crippling thing about that game, where, like, I enjoyed the mechanics, even though it was hella stiff, but I think the level design sort of let that game down. And I think this game is actually going to play really well, but I think the level design is going to let it down, from what I'm seeing here. It's just sort of the trappings of the type of environments that I feel like I know these layouts of these levels before I even play the game. You know what I mean? And so I don't know. We'll see. But in terms of mechanics themselves, I think the game looks so good. I'm playing the trailer right now, and there's that bit where he flames up some type of spider robot lady or something, and I think that's cool. And I think it's going to be definitely a memorable game. In terms of comparing directly with Bloodborne or any From Software game, I think it's going to fall short. But when From Software is the king of all kings in this arena, it's kind of hard for anybody to do anything with them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's people have tried a similar formula from what's FromSoft has been doing.
Yep.
And to their credit, a lot of companies have been able to do it well, but just not as well. So I can see that just joining the ranks of a game that's close to being as on the same quality as FromSoft, but not quite there yet, which is fine. Not everything needs to be the same thing as From Software, because that'd be boring after a while.
And as someone who's touched a lot of From Software games, I haven't played every Dark Souls game, but I've touched every IP. The art design and the design of the world is really, really interesting to me, because that's kind of my problem with From Software games, is I kind of feel like they all look the same with the exception of Sekiro. Like I look at Dark Souls and Demon Souls and Elden Ring, and I'm like, those are all the same game. And then Bloodborne, a little less so, because I think it specifically goes for a more gothic look than the other games. But I wouldn't be remiss in confusing moments of those games, specifically in boss design. I think in how the bosses look, it feels very, it could be from any of them. Whereas I think this one has a very striking presentation, and I think the bosses you're going to go up against in this game look memorable to me. Like, they're not going to fade into the background. Which I think happens even, I'm a big fan of Sekiro, and I think, I don't know, there's a couple of boss fights in Sekiro where I'm like, I don't know, it was a samurai dude, and I killed him. What more do you want, Like, I remember the owl, I remember Butterfly Lady, what is her name? Lady Butterfly?
Madam Butterfly.
Whatever. And then I remember the main antagonist, who I can't remember his name right now, but I remember like fighting him. And then from there, it's just like, I don't know. There was a monk. There was a river lady. And then the rest kind of fade into the background. You know what I'm saying? Anyways.
Sometimes, yeah. It depends. Like, that's kind of just how a lot of From Software games go. Not every boss is going to be,
yeah,
it's amazing.
Exactly.
But yeah.
And I'm not saying that's the case here, because I haven't seen enough, but I just feel like there are things memorable here that will stand out. There was a cool part of the trailer where he's running away from enemies, and it feels very Uncharted, almost, just in this singular shot, where he's just dipping out and then jumps through a window, and it leads to a cool hero shot. I'm just very curious as to what's happening in this game.
Yeah. It'd be nice to get a hands on it.
I think it's
See how it
it's
feels.
gonna speak to me. What is this Phantom Hellcat game? I forget what this is. Oh,
I can't remember
yeah, this game looks okay. The Phantom Hellcat looks like a cool little action platformer game with or I guess it's really just a character action game with platformer elements. I thought it looked cool. Goat Simulator 3 came out, still doing, Goat Simulator things. Return to Monkey Island put me to sleep. Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I don't know that IP. Do you know the IP of Killer Clowns from Outer Space?
I've never watched the movie that it came from, but I mean, it's like the Friday the 13th games. So I don't know. I didn't play that one, the recent one. So I don't think I'll touch this one. But it has its audience with the kind of game that it is.
Yeah, we'll see. From the same guy from Friday the 13th and Predator Hunting Grounds. I think this one will be a little easier for them in terms of IP because not as many people care about it, so they can have more fun with it and they can maybe carry it out longer because Friday the 13th got deaded by the movie studio. Predator Hunting Grounds didn't really take off in any meaningful way. High on Life.
Yep.
There are elements of it that speak to me, and then there's elements of it that throw me off.
It seems like too much of a mixed bag for me to want to jump into it whenever I see it. And the gameplay doesn't really seem all that exciting to me, and especially in this one.
No, but I did see a funny moment where like it was very Bethesda RPG-ish, where like a kid comes up and talks to you, and you pull the trigger, and your gun says, "No, I'm not going to shoot a kid. Are you fucking crazy?" And you pull it again and said, "No, I'm not going to do it." And you pull it a third time, then he shoots the kid and goes, "There, you happy now? We killed the fucking kid. There goes our E for everyone rating."
Yeah, it was pretty funny. But then that also kind of led to it. I saw the same thing, which maybe have another problem, which it seems like it's the comedy and the punchlines seem too much like Rick and Morty.
I agree.
Like, I know it's made by the same people, but you could have ripped that straight from the show.
I mean, the voice of the gun is straight up Morty.
Yeah, it's straight up Morty. But he even kind of like he has too many of his mannerisms in another IP to be like, okay, well, maybe you should not sound the exact same as he does. Because it's kind of hard to get it out of your mind, especially nowadays where you see that character a lot, clips on social media and whatnot.
I also just don't think the Rick and Morty humor is that funny. It just doesn't hit with me the same way. And I see a lot of that in here with the jokes and stuff where I go, some of this is funny, some of it is childish, and some of it just falls completely flat. So I don't know. We'll see. Some of the fights and stuff look interesting. If the reviews are good, I might give it a shot, but I'm not like anticipating it.
Yeah.
Lords of the Fallen we kind of talked about. Cool trailer. Nothing really else to go off of. Yeah. Seems like some sort of reboot or revitalization or something. We're because this had a number tied to it, didn't it? This is the.
This is called The Lords of the Fallen. The first game was Lords of the Fallen.
Yeah. Yeah, but there was a number, but like this game was announced already. Like we knew a sequel to Lords of the Fallen was coming, but it had a number tied to it before, didn't it? Or am I wrong in that?
I don't believe so.
No? Okay. Well, it was a cool cinematic trailer. Connor, anything else that stood out to you here?
Not particularly, no. Those were some of the big ones.
Yeah. I think Sonic Frontiers, the more I see of it, the more I'm like, oh, okay, kind of cool, kind of interesting. Hideo Kojima's doing a podcast. Neat. I don't really care to hear a Kojima podcast personally. Something that I totally forgot about. The DualSense Edge. The PlayStation answer to... what's it called? What happens if I do this? Oh, it kind of fucks everything up. Sorry. I was playing around with some things. The PlayStation answer to the Xbox Elite controller. I'm personally very, very excited about this. I use my PlayStation a lot. I love the DualSense controller. I've never liked the Xbox One controller. It just feels like a toy in my hands. Whereas even though the Nintendo Switch Pro controller literally is a toy, like it doesn't feel like it. Like I feel like I can do real controller things. And then I think the DualSense is one of the best controllers ever made, except for that fucking big ass ugly touchpad on it, which I didn't like on the DualShock 4 either. But I love the form of the DualSense. So now getting those extra buttons and those extra profiles, I think is great. And yeah, man, that's gonna be an instant buy for me as soon as it comes
I knew
out.
it would be. The moment I saw that, I'm like, that's your controller.
I'm in.
That you want now.
I'm in. I want that shit. I want that shit. So, no real like details other than it's coming, and we have 3 different profiles for it, and buttons on the back instead of paddles, because like what is the Xbox one called? I said it earlier and I've already forgotten.
I completely forgot that there was a special controller for it.
No, come on, I said it earlier. The Xbox.
I remember hearing you say that, but I can't remember the name.
Elite, that's what it's called. The Elite controller.
Yeah.
Has paddles on the back. I think buttons is a smarter move. And then, adjustable stick height and button layouts and stuff, and then having the 3 different profiles. I think PlayStation is a company that gets a lot of simple things wrong sometimes, and can have a wavering quality of life, just general quality of life, and kind of missing on some of the essential things that its competitors nail right out the gate. And this looks to be something that I think they're nailing right out the gate. I'm assuming this is going to come out around God of War Ragnarok, because they want that holiday season bump from it. And then also in their description on the website, they specifically mention God of War Ragnarok. Mm-hmm. So I think we're looking in that, mid-December mid-November area for launch of this thing. I'm personally hoping for $150. I think that would be competitive. I think that would work alongside the price hike, which we'll talk about here in a minute. And then I think it'd be smart of them to kind of take some losses up front in order to compete and have everybody jump in, because it's something that PlayStation players have been yearning for years. And now that we finally have it, oh man, like it's a day one purchase for me, period. Like, so like I'd like $150 personally. I wouldn't be surprised if it was $200 or even $250.
Ooh, that's a steep price for a controller.
It is, but you use it every day. You know what I'm saying?
But are the features worth it though? That's the question.
I think so.
Because I was thinking in range of like 120 would be reasonable.
Oh, no. Not a shot in the world. Not a shot in the world. No. I think I'm being too generous with 150. I think this is going to be $200, because that would compete exactly with where the Elite is. I just think they're going to want to compete with that. But if they're hungry, if it's a hungry PlayStation and not a grubby, greedy PlayStation, 150 I think is appropriate. They might even split the difference and do 180. Who knows? How much is the DualSense plane right now? Isn't that like $70, $80?
$70, I believe.
DualSense.
Let me see.
Price? I got you right here.
Oh.
I'll just click on the Amazon.
DualSense,
$70.
$7, yeah. Still the same.
Yep. Anyways, Connor, anything else you want to say about opening night live?
No, those were the big ones.
Yep.
Big ones I found.
And then I think this is a good precedent. I think Keighley heard our criticisms and the internet's criticisms off of the Game Awards last year. Summer Games Fest he was already too in the weeds for Summer Games Fest to right the wrongs there. And just kind of had to take it on the chin there. And then I think these are where I think this was us starting to see some implementation of those critiques that he got from last year. So I'm hoping with Game Awards this year, this is the pace we work at more, as opposed to cool stuff in the front and then like just a bunch of commercials and then nothing in the back end, which I think all of Keighley's showcases, presentations, press conferences, whatever you want to call them, I think all of Keighley's stuff starts strong and then wavers real hard in the middle and never bounces back, and they're always too long. So I'm hoping with the Game Awards this year, this is kind of the pace we have, and then hopefully he can figure out a big one more thing pop at the end, which I think he will for Game Awards, because he's better about it at Game Awards than he's in other places.
Yeah.
Speaking of Game Awards, just to throw that in there, we have a date for the Game Awards, December 8th, 2022. This is the 9th Game Awards, happening at the Microsoft Theater in LA. That's really all to say about that. Once again, I think this is too early. Callisto Protocol sucks. That sucks for Callisto Protocol, because it's going to be too far in our memories for us to remember it for nominations and awards next year, and I think it is a Game of the Year contender. I don't think it would win. I think it has a better... No, see, I don't even think it has a good shot for next year because we got like Breath of the Wild 2 and Resident Evil 4 and
hard to beat games.
Yeah, we got a bunch of hard to beat games coming down the pipeline next year. So I think Callisto Protocol is just screwed in terms of game of the year in general. On top of that, it's a horror game. On top of that, it's the Dead Space reimagining. Yeah. Well, it's the same team from Dead Space, the same director from Dead Space. So, that makes sense. But it just sucks that like, things like art direction or, sound design, it might lose out in those, and it would have won had it been involved in the year it came out. But now, when we get to December of 2023, who's going to be thinking about Callisto Protocol?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
nobody.
Unfortunately,
and this is probably like a top 3 critique I have of the Game Awards is that they just happened too early. Like, why can't we do this on the 28th of December, in between Christmas and New Year's? I understand you want to give your team a break. Fine. Then why can't we do it January 6th or, whatever, like early first week of January or whatever. So like let me see here. Let me pull up my trusty handy dandy calendar here. So Christmas falls on a Sunday, the 25th, a Sunday. So why can't we do it on a Tuesday, the 27th? Or we dip into January, which I understand by the time we hit January, we're looking at games ahead. But why can't we do it on the 6th, a Friday, of January? Why? Start the year off with a nice bang of what happened last year. There's just no good excuse in my mind for this. This show happens too early.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I can understand them maybe extending it past January 6th, for example, just because the holiday season came around. People are still, spending time with families, maybe on vacation. So I get maybe having it at the beginning of December as opposed to the middle of it because those complications arise. But still, nothing wrong with January.
Nothing wrong with January. We can look back. Keely. The GDC Awards happen in fucking March. Like, what are we doing?
We don't have control over that, though. It's just whatever they decide to do.
Yep. And then also, they're adding a new category, Connor, Best Adaptation. Keely writes on Twitter, Best Adaptation to recognize outstanding work adapting video game IP to other entertainment forms. We will celebrate shows, movies, books, podcasts, comics, and more that authentically adapt the source material. Neat.
Yeah.
I mean, this is something we predicted earlier in the year when the Uncharted movie was coming out, and we saw the potential for this coming. So nice to see it, nice to have it. I think it's a good category to have, just to kind of
freshen things up.
Yeah, just to be like, this was cool. We liked this. So yeah, there's that. I like that it's not just movies and TV shows. I like that it does incorporate books and podcasts and comic books.
Especially because these books, usually written about video games and whatnot, can be very, very good. So they deserve more attention.
Yeah.
Just like the shows do.
Exactly. And then, but I think shows and movies are going to dominate this. I think The Last of Us show is a shoe-in for next year's award. This year, it's going to be a toss-up between The Witcher, Uncharted, and Arcane, and probably going to go to Arcane because that one had universal acclaim and hype behind it this year.
It would be the only one that deserves to win, I should add, in terms of its competition. It's an amazing show.
From what I understand of it, I haven't watched the show, but from what I hear of it, I tend to agree with you. But, I think this is a fun category to have. I could understand the argument of, like, why would we do this? Other award shows don't do this, but video games are they're not a niche market because they're huge, but, like, not everybody can play a video game, So just for people to understand the cultural impact of things like League of Legends and things like The Last of Us and Castlevania and all these things in a different medium, I think it should be applauded, especially because those things are currently not at a level of quality where they get recognized in their own mediums. And we want to reward good stuff. Good stuff so rarely happens in the form of adaptations for video games. So, a nice tip of the hat, nice little, for that. Good job,
and
Tom Holland. I thought Tom Holland did okay in that Uncharted movie.
Now that I think about it, now that I realize things, it probably will be Uncharted because I always forget. Time blends so weird that Arcane actually came out last year in November.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Did it end last year? When did it end?
It all came out on Netflix, so they literally just...
It didn't all drop at once.
Did
it?
Seemed like it did. I mean...
Oh, it might have.
I think I jumped on. I may have jumped on it later, but it seemed like it all came out at the same time.
Yeah, that's right. Because I remember talking about it while I was in Florida, or while we were in Florida, because we were in Florida together.
Yeah,
Talking about
you're
it.
right.
Yeah. I think it'll still be nominated
I wouldn't mind it to be.
because the blending of things and how things work. And I think this first year they're going to be looking for things to nominate. Next year, I think it's going to be easier. We're going to have The Last of Us. We're going to have. I think the Devil May Cry animated has a chance for next year. And then we have a couple of other adaptation things. You know, who knows? An Uncharted 2 movie might be happening. Who knows? Doubtful. No, Uncharted just happened. Probably not Uncharted, but anything. Connor, that's it for opening night live. So let's go ahead, jump into our second topic of the day. And my first penny, KOTOR Remake is in trouble, Connor. We covered this earlier when it first came out, but now we've got a new developer working on it. So we're pulling a Verge article by Jay Peters. The Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake has a new developer. Embracer Group is moving developer on the upcoming Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake for PS5 and PC from Aspire Media, to a Saber Interactive studio in Eastern Europe, according to Bloomberg. The game, announced last September in a short trailer during a Sony showcase, was originally made by Aspire, which is known for its ports of KOTOR and KOTOR 2, but development on the remake was paused after a demo was shown to Lucasfilm and Sony, Bloomberg reported in July. Saber had been helping with the development on the remake, but a cryptic statement in Embracer's earnings report last week seemed to suggest that Saber could be officially taking over. Quote, one of the group's AAA projects has transitioned to another studio within the group, Embracer wrote. Quote, this was done to ensure the quality bar is where we need it to be for the title. In its earning reports, Embracer also said that it's, quote, not expecting any material delays for the title based on this transition. The company hasn't announced a public release date for the KOTOR remake. Embracer didn't immediately respond to requests for comment. Embracer made headlines last week with a swath of acquisitions that we covered last week, and you can go see those over at youtube.com/2pennygamescast. Episode 109. Connor, it's moving over to Saber. It seems like now. Let's jump over to the Googles real quick. Let's do the quick Google. Let's do the research here.
What they've done?
Saber Interactive, because I know it, but I don't know it off the top of my head. It's as soon as I see their games, I'm going to be shit, this shit. That's right. All right. So,
I was on it. They have a lot of stuff because they're a developer and a publisher. So they've had their hands in lots of things.
It's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So I'm seeing Evil Dead, World War Z, games.
Making the new Warhammer Space Marine 2 game. So, and that looked like
they're all over the place. Okay.
They are, yeah.
All right, cool. So, all right. So we have some ups, we have some downs, we have, but nothing really blowing us away here, which is what KOTOR Remake needs. But, Aspire, I don't think ever had the juice to make this game. And, having a team with a little more experience under their belt, I think is good. I think we're now going to get a better version of this game. I still don't think it's exactly what we need, This is one of the greatest games of all time, and I don't think we're getting one of the greatest remakes of all time out of it.
Yeah, it's always been in this really bad state. Seems like it can't catch a break.
Yeah. Not expecting any material delays for the title based on this transition. I don't believe you. I mean, maybe you guys think that, and maybe the developers believe it, but I don't believe it. Because just from what I understand of how game development works, not a chance in hell. You guys are going to get delayed to who knows how far into the future if this game ever even comes out. There's a chance this game never comes out. But we'll have to see. I think it will. I just don't think it'll be what we want it to be, and I think it'll be quite a while before we get our hands on it.
Star Wars fans just can't get a lot of. They can't get as many good things as they thought they could get. I mean, the movies kind of flatlined, TV shows, but everything seems to kind of have like a lot of or bad reactions from people.
A little bit of
mixed.
And
now it just seems like they can't even get a game out.
There's good stuff and bad stuff. Mandalorian, I think, is a really good show.
Yeah.
And I think in general people agree with that take. Jedi Fallen Order was a solid game. It was solid. And I think Survivor is going to be solid. And all of those Respawn games, I think, are going to be pretty damn good. But then you're right. You do get from there. It does get a little messy, where like The Book of Boba Fett was trash. The movies started strong and just got worse and worse as they kept going. You know, a lot of the TV shows have mixed results where like the what was the anime show called? Legends? No.
Yeah, that was Legends.
Is it Legends? I don't think it's Legends. Star Wars Legends? No,
Maybe?
that's not it. What was the anime thing called?
Okay, this is bothering me now. I should know it.
Visions.
Visions.
Star Wars Visions. That's what it was. That I thought was really pretty solid. Some things were obviously better than others, but I thought overall it was really well received. Kenobi was a mixed response. Some people loved it. Some people hated it. I enjoyed it for what it was. As a fan, I thought it was pretty good. As a storyteller and someone who's critical of storytelling, I thought it had some missteps, but overall was fine. Clone Wars finale was great. Rebels was not. But, you know, Rebels wasn't offensive in any way. It just wasn't great. And so, you know, just in general, you have a mixed bag. People like the comic books. From what I hear, the comic book is great. I read one comic book. I enjoyed it. I had a good time. It was a Darth Vader comic book. It was good. So, you know, but, you know, it is what it is. And I just hope, you know, we get to a better place with Star Wars media, especially in video games, because I think Star Wars is so ripe for the picking for video games, and we squander it on action adventure games and first-person shooters. As much as I loved, or as much as I really enjoyed Jedi Fallen Order, and as much as I loved where Battlefront 2 ended up, it obviously didn't start strong, but where it ended up, I thought was so dope. You know, I would love to see like a Battlefront 3, and I'm excited for Jedi Survivor, but in general, like I want new things. I want that Destiny 2 Lightyear expansion like just got premiered, you know what I'm talking about? Which was at opening night live, but neither of us are Destiny 2 players. Man, am I jealous of Destiny 2 players right now, man. Just imagine that, but Star Wars. Like, can you imagine, bro, how great that is going to be and how fucking awesome that's going to be?
But you don't get it. You don't get it.
We're getting that massive entertainment game from the Division guys. We're going to see.
No, you'll never get what you want.
Moving on.
You deserve to not get your satisfaction from Star Wars. That's your curse for being a Star Wars fan.
Oh, yeah? Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
How's that Lord of the Rings going for you, buddy?
I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, because it's non-fucking existent. That's how it's fucking going.
Hey,
also, are you watching Game of Thrones?
In 2 days.
The House of the
No.
Dragon? No? It's damn good.
I saw you make a tweet about it somehow, and you're like, "Oh, I guess Tavin's on the train." Now.
I wasn't. I was hating. I was like, I'm not. Game of Thrones burned me. I'm not going back. I started it. No, it's good. It's good. I think the second episode came out today, and yeah, I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch this shit because the first episode was damn good. There was one scene that I thought was too much. You know how like they like to push the boundaries of violence and sex and all that. There was one scene that I thought was too much, involving a birth. Too much. Didn't need to go there. But everything else I thought was fantastic. Character work, mwah, the politics, all of that Game of Thrones stuff you love of the political intrigue and the families burning each other and, you know, who's trying to get on top, all of that's there. And it's so good. It's so well written. The violence is fucking brutal. The little bit of action that we saw was really, really good to watch and stuff. It's a good show. Game of Thrones is back. Game of Thrones. I'm going to say it, Connor. No, I'm not going to say it.
Well,
I'm not going to say it. I'm not willing to die on that hill. I was going to say Game of Thrones better than Lord of the Rings, but I just can't go there. I think at its peak, I think Game of Thrones hits higher peaks, but much lower valleys.
Those valleys exist.
Those valleys.
Lord of the Rings? What valleys does the main line stuff have? It doesn't.
The Hobbit.
No, not even. The movies. Yes, the movies.
Hobbit's not great.
The books.
The Hobbit movies
books are
not
included.
Great.
The books are included in this because it originated as a book.
I'm gonna say the Lord of the Rings books are valleys.
On Star
Those
Wars.
books suck. They're boring. Too much detail. Who cares?
Well, sometimes you're just gonna have to agree that you're an idiot.
I think Lord of the Rings as a whole, all of it across all mediums, falls victim to what I call too much lore, not enough story. where like they're like they do the thing where they're like, oh, these are the caves of Wondercraft explored by the dwarves of Dwemer or whatever, and you're like, oh wow, that's
It's
supposed to
so
be cool, but it's not
cool.
because
It
you're just
is
saying
so
things.
cool.
It's not cool. It's
It's
not
so
cool.
rad.
You're just saying things.
And then you go to the Dwarven Mines, and then you see how actually cool it is. Whereas you can't get your good Star Wars mainline movies. So, you know.
But Star
It
Wars
is what
shit
it is.
isn't bogged down by that shit. They're just like, hey man, we got to go get the thing. All right, let's go get the thing. Nice, simple, fun, good characters, good lines. It's a good time.
Get the thing? That's what Lord of the Rings
Whatever
is
the thing
about.
is, whatever the
So
MacGuffin
get the
is,
thing, and
whatever
then-
the MacGuffin is. Yeah, but like the character dialogue is all focused on lore shit. Anyways, we're getting into the weeds. Connor, we got to move on to our next topic of the day. Your second and final penny. The PlayStation 5 is getting a price hike. With an
needed it.
asterisk.
It
With an
needed it.
asterisk. It needed it. Here we go. So we're pulling straight from the PlayStation blog. PS5 price to increase in select markets due to global economic environment, including high inflation rates. Jim Ryan writes, Jim Ryan's secretary writes, the global economic environment is a challenge that many of you around the world are no doubt experiencing. We're seeing high global inflation rates as well as adverse currency trends, impacting consumers and creating pressure on many industries. Based on these challenging economic conditions, SIE has made the difficult decision to increase the recommended retail price of PlayStation 5 in select markets across Europe, Middle East, and Africa, Asia Pacific, Latin America, as well as Canada. There will be no price increase in the United States. The new RRPs below are effective immediately unless otherwise noted. Europe, up, I believe everything is pretty much up the equivalent of $100, to my understanding. So Europe, we got $549.99, $550. Europe uses the pound. Am I right in that?
Yes.
Or the euro? That's the euro, right? The pound is the UK, but Europe uses the euro. So, $550 for the Blu-ray disc drive, $450 for the digital version. PS5 with the Blu-ray disc drive in the UK, $479.99. Digital edition, $389.99, and then it just goes on there from your own. I'll do the Canadian one, $650 with the disc drive, $520 without. While this price increase is a necessity, given the current global economic environment and its impact on SIE's business, our top priority continues to be improving the PS5 supply situation so that as many players as possible can experience everything that PS5 offers and what's still to come. Thank you for your continued support. All right, I'm going to jump right in here right off the top. This is some bullshit.
Yeah.
This is not necessary, and I feel for we're Americans, obviously, and I feel for my Canadian and my just other I just feel for everybody else. Mm-hmm. You know,
Yeah.
I feel for you because this sucks. It's up like essentially $100 from what it was before, and I just don't fucking believe you. First of all, the PlayStation 5 is selling like hotcakes. Everyone you're making is being sold. There's nothing on the shelves. You're selling more than you can make. You know what I'm saying? So, and at that, you're selling at a profit. I remember a time where consoles across the board, you were selling at a deficit. You were losing money with every console you made and getting that on the back end with software. So now we have a price increase with the console and the software, the hardware and the software. For what reason? When gaming is as big as it is, bigger than it's ever been, you're getting mad money off of microtransactions, and more people are buying more video games than ever before. On top of that, you have subscription services like your PlayStation Plus. What was PlayStation Now is now, the PlayStation Plus Premium, and services like Game Pass and EA Play. I don't believe you. I agree that games are more expensive to make now more than ever as teams get bigger and salaries increase and the time needed to develop each game is increased. So yeah, that is going to increase cost. But when more people are buying your game than ever and every Sony first-party studio game breaks random-ass fucking records, do we really need a price increase here? Just take it on the chin, Sony. Lose a little bit of money here. Like,
and still gaining money. Losing money is relative to just what they would be making with these price hikes. So it's as you pointed out before, they don't need to do this. They're using the background of supply chain issues and whatnot to justify a practice just so they can make more money effectively. And I don't doubt that this is actually an issue they are facing with, inflation coming up and whatnot. But
I believe, the times are hard. Times are hard across the board.
But you're not really one of those people that are hurting enough to justify a price hike.
Exactly.
It's just not.
You're the front runner in the console race. Across the board. And this was a layup for an easy dunk on dunk with Xbox and with Nintendo, which both came out and said, yeah, no, we're not increasing our shit. Buy our shit. The Xbox already had the cheapest market with the Series S, and then you could have the Nintendo Switch, be an argument of cheaper console as well. But Xbox is giving us the goods, especially with Game Pass. Xbox is eating your fucking lunch right now. I'm a PlayStation fan, obviously. Like, I love my PlayStation 5. It's my main way to play video games. If I can play it on the PlayStation, I'm gonna play it on the PlayStation. But this is outrageous. This is getting too much. This is already an expensive fucking hobby in which a lot of people can only afford one game a year. And now they can't even get their fucking PlayStation 5s because of the pandemic and global economic shortcomings, which sucks, and I agree. But
now money grubbers are in the mix.
Be the one thing that didn't go up. My $10 hair product is $20 now. Be the one thing that was consistent. That's easy money. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's also just good press to not do that. I mean, I remember...
well, you can't... what does that headline look like, Connor? Like, you can't do that. You can't come out and say, hey, we could increase the PS5, but we're not going to. It'd be a nice thing to say, like, in a showcase or whatever.
It's because everything's raising in price. I mean, I remember, just to use this as an example, obviously this isn't the same thing. There was the funny thing that was going around with Costco and how the co-founder threatened to kill one of the people if they increased the price on the drink and hot dog combo. And people love that.
That's funny as fuck.
Oh, it was going around. He was literally like, if you do that, I will kill you. So with things like that, if everything else
is a toxic work environment there.
Yeah, but it's a good one.
We like it.
So if for doing something like raising your price, even everyone else is doing it, so you not doing it would be enough of a statement. Even if it wasn't a big wave of marketing that would come in your way from not raising the price, it's just the right thing to do. It keeps your player base satisfied with you as a company. And obviously people are not happy about this, because I am not. And I wouldn't be if I had to pay for a PlayStation 5 at this point. I'd be upset.
Oh, I'd wait. Or I'd switch sides.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't need God of War Ragnarok that bad. Like, I don't. I want it, but I can wait for a PC launch.
It's
gonna happen.
Compete with that.
Especially
PC
with all those rumors of a PC launcher.
There.
I would just wait. I would invest in a PC if it were me. Get the best of both worlds. Game Pass, PlayStation, all of it. There's you're giving us another reason not to buy your console. And that sucks. Like, I'm sorry, we just don't want to. Especially with Xbox dunking on you and saying, "Hey man, you don't put your games day one on your PlayStation Premium." So we do. On PC and on the box. There's a million reasons to subscribe to Xbox Game Pass. There's very few reasons to subscribe to PlayStation Extra or PlayStation Plus Premium. This is a hard L. This is a hard L. And I'm sorry, maybe some of your fucking heavy duty millionaires can just take a fucking price cut for a couple of years and then not spoil some of that good favor for when the next console cycle comes around, or in a few years when Spider-Man 2 is right around the fucking corner.
Yeah, they need money. They need more money.
They don't need more money. We said it when we first started this podcast. There was talk of the $70 price increase, Connor, or of the $10 price increase to $70, and we said it then. It's not necessary, and I'm saying it now. It's not necessary. You just want more profit, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with wanting money, but when you're one of the big dogs, you don't need it. Like, you don't need it. But whatever. Connor, I want to move on to something a little more positive, something fun, something that I think is really, really fucking cool and that we don't get all the time. So moving on to our final topic of the day, and my second penny of the day, Sakurai has started a YouTube channel. So pulling directly from his Twitter, Masahiro Sakurai, I've decided to start a new YouTube channel called, Masahiro Sakurai on creating games. It launches right now. Subscribe today and you can brag about being one of the very first to join me on this new endeavor. I'll share more details soon. And then a link to the English channel, which just gives us like English subtitles and stuff. I've subscribed and I watched his first video about this channel where he kind of breaks it down and tells us what to expect and so forth. And I plan on watching every video that he has up right now. He currently has 5 videos up, including the About the Channel video. And I think this is cool. It's really well presented. I wish there was English dubbing on it. It's just subtitles. But I understand that costs money, and it seems like this is more of a solo venture, so it's easier to run things through a translating program instead of, or have a guy instead of having someone dub over you or whatever. That's an extra thing that you don't need to pay for. But it's really well presented, really well edited, and Sakurai puts on good presentations, as we've seen from his in-depth Smash Brothers character breakdown videos. And you're getting the same level of quality. I would argue you're even getting better quality here. And so, it's mainly just him just kind of giving a accessible way on how game development works, in terms of like this allows, new game devs to kind of learn things from a heavy duty veteran, that is Sakurai. I mean, you're talking Kirby and Smash Brothers and, franchises of the last 2 decades, 3 decades. So it's very nice to see. And they're well presented. They're easily accessible to people who know nothing about game development and guys who know a little bit about game development. I think experts in the craft or veterans of the thing would like to see sort of his process and get sort of that type of insight. But, I don't think there's anything here for them specifically to learn about. But I think this is great for documentaries and video game history courses and so forth. And I think this allows him on a worldwide platform to kind of show us what it's like to deliver art at this level.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also happy that he's able to do something other than deal with Smash Brothers, because he was really just having to work hard on that kind of stuff. It was pretty clear he probably wanted to take a break. So it's good that he's actually being able to do something like this, which, as you said, is just a good resource to go to learn more about games. I'll probably watch a lot of his videos as they come up. Anything that I want to learn about, I can learn it from him. And
he's been uploading at a pretty good pace too. He the first day he put 2, and he's put 1 out pretty much every day since. He took a break.
Short.
He took a break for the weekend. They're all short, all 4 to 5 minutes, which I think is good. So they're nice little chunk videos. I'm curious to see at the rate he'll keep this upload thing going and how deep into it he'll go and for how long he'll do it. I think obviously with the end of Smash Brothers Ultimate and I think he's looking to take a step back. I think he's looking to not be so hands-on with every project. I think Kirby will always be his baby and he'll always have something to do with Kirby, but I don't think he'll necessarily be the Kirby guy, or at least not as much as he has been in the past. So I'm just curious to see where this little passion project of his goes and how much he'll keep up with it and what we can all learn from it. Yeah. Good time. Definitely something to check out. Connor.
Tavin.
Yes, sir.
That's a penny. And another one.
That's another one. We did it. Connor, that's it. That's the news. All 4. Connor, this is normally where we would have our What We've Been Playing segment. Unfortunately, all of your time has been eaten up by Chrono Trigger, which is our next video game book club, the 2-penny game club for September. We initially scheduled it for the September 5th episode. Unfortunately, your game crashed, and you have to start all the way over. And I've been so busy with school and with moving that I haven't had enough time to play. So we're actually moving back our Chrono Trigger episode back a week. So it is now going to be the September 12th episode. So everyone, if you're behind, you have a little more time to do that. If not, you can get a jump start on our next game, which is actually going to be a smaller title, so we don't even need that much of a jump start. But for the October 3rd episode of the Game Club, we're doing Portal 1. You can catch that. The Switch has the Portal collection for $40, and then Excuse me, $20, and then both Portal 1 and Portal 2 are $10 on Steam. It looks like me and Connor will be playing the Steam versions of that game. But just to recap, Chrono Trigger moved back a week so that, we just have enough time to do what we need to do for that. So there we go.
Thank you for your patience and understanding.
Yeah. Life got in the way, guys. We're sorry. We're trying very hard. But because I've been moving and because all your time got eaten up, neither of us have been playing video games. So,
well, I have, but I can't talk about it.
Well, obviously, because we have a review coming for that. I've barely touched any type of controller. I played a little bit more Cult of the Lamb. Played a little bit more of Chrono Trigger. I touched Spider-Man Remastered just because I was feeling the itch to do some web swinging and stuff. I touched that. It was not even an hour. I just touched it. I'm just throwing that out there. But, Connor, you brought up the idea since we have nothing to really talk about this week in terms of... Sorry, my phone was blowing up and I wanted to check that. In terms of the game... or where am I going with this? I've lost my mind. Basically, you said since we have nothing to talk about here, let's go ahead and let's do a little predicting.
Yeah.
We're more than halfway through the year now. Most of our heavy hitters, with the exception of God of War Ragnarok and Callisto Protocol, have hit. So you said, hey, how about we just have a little fun little conversation about some game awards? And I thought, you know what? That's a good ass idea, Connor. Let's talk about some game awards. Now, obviously, none of the nominations have come out yet. So, let's just kind of hypothesize here. So, how would you like to do this, Connor? Because we didn't really talk about this beforehand.
No. I think each give 5 games, because usually it's going to be a 5. The choice is going to be from 5 games about what the best game of the year is. So I think it makes sense for us to just choose 5 games that we think would be on there.
Do you want to do specifically just game of the year right now, or are we looking for...
Yeah, probably just game of the year, because I think if we get too in the weeds, it can get kind of confusing.
Okay, game of the year. It's specifically game awards. So we're not talking personal games of the year. We're talking industry. What are we thinking here? So here, let me go ahead and look up 2022 video game releases.
Now, do you want to do this by what has come out already, or what is going to?
I think we should just talk about what's come out already, because I agree. We can hypothesize. We're going to assume God of War Ragnarok is going to be a Game of the Year contender, and probably the only real big thing to talk about, other than the obvious, which we'll get into in a second. But I think for the most part, we should just kind of talk about what's come out this year. So let me actually pull up my personal list of Game of the Year games that I've played so far. Here we go. Where is it? 2022 games I've played. So of the games I've played so far this year, I have Sifu, Horizon Forbidden West, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, Triangle Strategy, Stray, Elden Ring, Fire Emblem Three Hopes, Power Wash Simulator, Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, Neon White, Cult of the Lamb. Those are the games I've played.
I haven't had a list made yet. We'll probably get around to doing that.
Yeah, that's just something I do throughout the year and kind of keep track of to keep updated and stuff, so I don't have to reach back into the folds of my memory. So I think obviously front runners so far that we've seen so far this year, Elden Ring leads the pack.
Elden Ring.
There's a big gap between that and everything else. From there, we've got games like Sifu, Horizon Forbidden West. I would say Stray, I think made a decent splash. I think Lego Star Wars is a chance, has a chance to be nominated for Game of the Year.
People fawn over that game, other than just you.
I know. It's a good game. It's a good game. Riddled with glitches, but it is what it is. Games like Triangle Strategy, Cult of the Lamb, I think people really enjoyed, but just didn't make a big enough splash this year.
Yeah, I wouldn't make money betting on those.
Where like Stray, I think, is on the lower end of all the games that I've named so far, personally. But it made a big enough splash. Like it's a little bit of a popularity thing with the Game Awards and specifically the Game of the Year thing. I think Horizon. I think Horizon's gonna be nominated, but it's just gonna get its fucking lunch eaten by everything else.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of already saw the test of which people liked more when Elden Ring and that came out in the same month, and
poor
it was those
Horizon
games, right?
just never had a fucking chance. Yeah, it was those two.
Yeah, it was.
Same. Yeah, it was like a week apart. Which happened last time with Forbidden West. I'm sorry, Zero Dawn and Breath of the Wild.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Horizon as an IP just can't catch a break. Which, by the way, do you think we even get a third Horizon game?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Well, I think I would like to see that studio also just go on to new things. Because we got 2 games, and the second one wasn't a big jump in quality from the first one. And we even said that it was kind of less so than the first game. So I think it would be better to go on to
I think it's
pastures.
undeniably a better game than the first game, but it's just not a big enough difference. Like, you just improve the quality of life, and it's a open world RPG game from 2017. Like, 5 years later, I just don't care about that type of game anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, another game that I think would actually have a big chance right now and is Xenoblade Chronicles 3, since that also did make a pretty big splash, and it was well received as well.
Yeah.
One of the more anticipated games of the year. That's
a really good point. Xenoblade is a well-renowned franchise at this point. A lot of fans, a lot of big splash, but like, not. I wouldn't say it's like a heavy hitter JRPG franchise, but like it's super well known.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think there is a chance for that. I think by the time we get to the actual end of the year, I think it'll have been knocked out of the running for that, because I just don't think people respect 80-hour long JRPGs anymore like they used to. I think we have good example of the tactics RPG with Fire Emblem Three Houses back in 2019, which was you and I's personal games of the year was Three Houses, but just totally got ignored by the Game Awards almost entirely.
Granted, the people there was the viewer award for best game. It did win that, so
there we go. There's that, but again this year I don't think it has a chance against Elden Ring and the eventual behemoth that is God of War Ragnarok.
I agree.
But in terms of nominees, obviously Elden Ring. I think Horizon has a seat reserved regardless. And also, like, let's not front. Horizon's a good game. It's just like if you're a normie, if you're just a dude who buys cool video games, you bought that, you played that, you played it for 50 hours, had a great time, and put it down, and maybe it is your favorite thing that you played this year, or maybe not. But for us who play everything, it just didn't do enough to shake it up, and capture our interest. I think Sifu made a big enough splash this year. It came in early, and it came in, with enough room around it for everyone to kind of enjoy it and have its moment in time.
Yeah, it definitely made a splash as well. I also would put in Multiverses, a game we got, since that's taken a lot of people by storm.
That's a good ass point. Yeah, Multiverses. Definitely in that, like, remember when PUBG was nominated for Game of the Year? Like, definitely inherits that space. I don't think the game is good enough or has eaten up enough of the conversation to be considered for actually winning. But I think that's a good point. I could see that over like a Xenoblade Chronicles 3, definitely.
Yeah. People have just not shut up about that game.
Yeah.
Certain people.
Xenoblade or Multiverses?
Multiverses.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Xenoblade, I haven't actually heard as much comparatively. Yeah.
It's fun. It's accessible.
Fun, good game.
I think it's like teetering on the mainstream. So yeah, and free to play I think also is helping it a lot.
Got longevity as long as they keep up with interesting character releases. For sure. It's all free too, so
yeah. I mean, the thing is, it's just that Elden Ring took the world by storm in a way that we just haven't seen before. So it's almost undoubtedly going to be Elden Ring with the games that have come out so far. I personally think Ragnarok has a chance of taking it if it delivers on all the fronts we want. But at the same time, it has a chance of just falling to the wayside because Elden Ring hit in a way that From Software games have never hit before.
Yeah.
I mean, I say this even though Sekiro won 2019's Game of the Year, which now that I've played Sekiro, I'm not mad at. At the time, I was like, really? But now I'm like, no, honestly, that makes sense.
Yeah, it was the best game that year. Arguably.
I'm still putting Resident Evil 2 Remake and Three Houses above it.
Three Houses, definitely. Yeah.
I mean, from there, like, I could see a Lego Star Wars in the list. I think it was accessible enough. It was popular enough. It was the only game post Elden Ring for that. I forget if that week or that month that outsold Elden Ring, and then immediately fell back to number 2 the next month. But it was the only game that made a splash. It was the only game that made a sales splash that can even be compared to Elden Ring. So there's that, and I think also we're gonna get some new like DLC or something popping before the Game Awards to kind of remind people about that game and how fun and how good that game is. And I think it's a shoo-in for Family Game of the Year, and for co-op game, or whatever the fuck they call it, family friendly, whatever. And then, I mean, from there, like, nothing really made a splash. Like, I love Power Washer Simulator. I love it. I love Power Wash Simulator. But not enough people are playing that. Nobody else is gonna like objectively, put Power Wash Simulator over Elden Ring or even Horizon or Sifu. Like, that would be.
You'll go to bat for it, Tavin.
I am gonna go to bat for it. God damn it. That's my personal game of the year right now. But yeah, it's a great fucking game. Everybody go play Power Wash Simulator. I'm not kidding. Go play it. Cult of the Lamb is great, and the more I play Cult of the Lamb, the more I love it. But again, I don't think it's, from what I can tell, it's not setting the Twitter sphere on fire. So
good indicator of what is going to be popular.
Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So much of the Game Awards feels like it's just ripping off of the Twitters. And Cult of the Lamb, people were talking about it, but they didn't say anything. It was a lot of like of the weekend being like, "Hey, Cult of the Lamb's really good. I like it. I'm cleaning up a lot of poop," and then it stopped. So yeah, there's that. Neon White, people who've played Neon White really like Neon White. It's got some issues, and when I actually get around to playing it, I'll dip into that. And then Stray, man. Stray made a splash.
People were comparing it to Elden Ring. That was the only game that even was compared. So I think it's a pretty high chance for, at least, my only issue with it is I don't think the people who decide what's game of the year, what's even nominated, would be as crazy as that. Would be as crazy about it as the fans who played it were.
Stray got a lot of good reviews, man. Stray got a lot of good reviews. I think it'll be nominated for sure. I don't think it doesn't have a shot in the world of winning, especially over games like Elden Ring, Sifu, and the eventual God of War. But I think it'll be nominated. And I think also off of the back of It Takes Two from last year winning, I think people are looking for that level of video game. It's impossible to win this year, but I think people are looking for that level of video game to be nominated. And I think Stray is that one. I think Stray has a better chance of being nominated over Sifu.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
How weird is it when the It Takes Two guy, the fuck the Oscars guy, comes out and delivers that? That's gonna be nuts.
See, there would be something really funny about a game about a cat just kind of sauntering in and just winning the award. I mean, it's kind of like a cat thing to do.
Not a chance in hell. I'm gonna be the rage. Can you imagine the rage on Twitter when that happens?
It'd be so fun. I would want Elden Ring to win, but it'd be worth the joke seeing the meltdown.
Seeing the meltdown would make it, just seeing everybody do it. And then let's go ahead and talk about what's to come. God of War. Is that it? Hold on. Let me look at I'm pulling the Game Informer list that I look at here. I'm scrolling. Here we go.
Callisto Protocol.
We got Callisto Protocol is too close. It's not going to make the cut.
I know it's not.
Even though I think that would get a nomination. Where are we? We're in August, right? We're at the end of August. So Saints Row seems to have flopped. That's unfortunate. We have Soul Hackers 2, which is out now, which I actually intend to play. That seems to be a Persona-inspired type video game that it's really captured my attention, and I want to play it really bad. I just don't have time right now. But I will make some time here in September or October to double back to it. Overwatch 2, Connor, I think you make a good point there.
I just completely took me by surprise. Forgot that's coming out.
I just don't think it's going to be different enough to make waves.
It's not.
No. It's going to be very much like when Fortnite did Chapter 2. That's very much what it's going to be. Connor, The Last of Us Part 1. Game of the Year, Last of Us Part 1.
Will that be nominated?
I don't think so.
I don't think it can be.
There will be a Last of Us Part 1 impression/review video up next week when it comes out, because we're not big enough to get review codes. So I'll be playing it. At least I'll be touching it just to give y'all, an idea. Will I beat it or not? That depends on if they change it enough, and I don't think they have. I mean, I'll definitely beat it and platinum it, but it's not like I'm, I'm not rushing to do it.
But you'll play it because you have to,
right? October, we've got A Plague Tale Requiem, which I think has a pretty good chance of capturing some attention, maybe getting some nods. Game of the year, I don't know, but maybe. Gotham Knights, I just don't think so.
No, not that one.
I don't think. I think at best that game is going to be a 7, and at worst it'll be like a 5. So, we'll see when it comes. New Tales from the Borderlands, October 21st. Those types of video games just don't have a chance, and I think there's too much hubbub, and people don't like Gearbox. So
you say that, but I remember The Walking Dead one all those years back.
But that was back then, man. Like we had, since then we've received 8 different Telltale games, and nobody gives a shit about any of them.
No, not at all. That's realistically not going to happen.
Yeah.
But Bayonetta 3, though.
Bayonetta 3? I don't think for Game of the Year, but I think has a chance to make some noise.
I think that could be nominated because people have been itching for that game for years now, and Bayonetta does get attention, and it's coming out without having really anything big to compete with it comparatively.
Bayonetta 3 comes out. I saw it in the list, but where?
October 28th is when it comes out.
So it's a little lower. All right. 18th, 21st. Scorn, October 21st. There are people interested in that, but I don't think it's going to make waves.
No, that'll be a cool. Oh, it's coming out in Halloween time. That's good.
I mean, Bayonetta 3 is the same day as Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Now, granted, different audiences, and I think the Game Awards panders to the industry side that doesn't care too much about Call of Duty anymore. But in a mainstream way, like Call of Duty will have a piece of the conversation, especially when their Warzone 2 or their follow-up to Warzone comes out with Modern Warfare 2. Skull and Bones, November 8th, Connor? Game of the Year, Skull and Bones?
Oh, I'm so excited. I can't contain my excitement.
I cannot believe both Skull and Bones and Sonic Frontiers are coming out the day before God of War Ragnarok. That's nuts. That's absolutely insane.
Come on, I respect the fight.
I respect it, man. I think Sonic has a chance to actually have some conversation about it, but Skull and Bones, you need to go. You need to jump. I don't even know where you put that because the beginning of next year is so busy too. That needs to be a January game. And then from there, man, like we just don't have a lot. Pokemon,
Warhammer 40K Darktide. Yeah, that'd be rad. That'd be sick. You laugh. You won't be laughing much longer.
No, I'm gonna keep laughing at you, Connor, because that game's gonna be mid as fuck.
You laughed at Dead Island 2 for dying all those years ago and every year since, and now you're gonna die on this hill. That's what's gonna happen, Tavin. I'm gonna be right, and I'm gonna play way too much of that game. That's what's gonna happen. Much. Good.
When does that game come out? Hold on.
November 30th.
November 30th? Oh, you'll be done with Ragnarok by then.
Yeah, I will. I was double checking that because I got nervous. I got Callisto Protocol.
Callisto Protocol is gonna kill your Warhammer thing.
It might not. I might just hold off on that game since it's not
on Darktide or Protocol.
Protocol.
What?
I'll play it that
crazy,
year.
Dude.
I'll play it that year.
You're fucking crazy.
But I'll extend. I could go a little with that.
You're fucking nuts.
I love my 40K stuff, Tavin. This was gonna happen. It's like when Star Wars stuff comes out for you. It's like you're gonna have to play it and you have a big focus on it.
Okay, but that game doesn't look that good. Protocol looks like it. Protocol is a Game of the Year contender. All right, fine.
I mean, but Callisto Protocol does look really good.
It looks so fucking good.
This is personal preference to the max.
Sure, I guess, but I think you're fucking nuts, buddy. And then everything else that doesn't have a date isn't coming this year. It's just not. Like I don't believe it. But
Atomic Heart actually, because they said the Burr release date somewhere in the
Connor, we just skipped past it, but let's dive deep. God of War Ragnarok. How are we feeling, my man? Where are we at hype level wise? Where do we think this is gonna land? And what are our theories? Where do we think it's gonna impact? All that stuff.
Yeah, hype level. I'm not super hyped for it right now, but this has kind of become a thing that I do where only until like the first couple weeks before a game comes out, the excitement really kicks in, which I'm happy for because I don't like to, get overexcited in the months leading up to it. So, but I can predict that I'll be excited and itching to play the game in the coming days when it's about to be released. As far as hopes, I just really, I thought they were going to make 3 games, to be honest. So I'm I'm a little worried that some things might feel rushed. I have confidence in their writing abilities, but this is definitely one of those situations where there's more room to fail than if it would have gone in a trilogy. But everything they've shown for us seems like it's great. They got a baseline with God of War 2018, which could, on its own, will carry it gameplay wise and story wise because it is carrying over that story. But as far as concluding a story, which is some of the hardest things to do when you're making something, look at Game of Thrones. There's a lot of worry, but I'm confident that it'll still be a contender for Game of the Year. Elden Ring means so much to me. So me personally, maybe I wouldn't be able to vote for it or anything like that. But it's got some serious strength as being a lot of people's favorite game of the year in the same way that Elden Ring has. So
God of War is my only hope to like objectively hang my cap on a game and say, nah, this is my favorite game of the year. And it not be Elden Ring, and I can like rest my and like it's the only game where I can hang my cap on that and be like, this is the best game of the year, and everybody else go, I get it, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. My game of the year right now is Power Wash Simulator, but when I say that, people laugh at me, and rightfully so. You should laugh at me for that. With what you're talking about, the thing is that these God of War 2018 is a long game. It's longer than you even remember. Like, that's a 30-hour game.
I bet.
You know? Especially with the side content, you can spend a lot of time in God of War 2018. And I think Ragnarok is going to be bigger in damn near every way. I think we're going to have more environments to explore. I think the story is going to be longer. I think if you were to Golden Path it would probably take you about the same amount of time. But I think there's going to be such an expansion in... side quests and different game modes and side modes and stuff. And then I also think a switch to play as Atreus is inevitable. In this game specifically. Now, whether that happens in the first few hours of the game or midway through the game, I don't know. They haven't shown us much gameplay-wise. One, because they don't need to. This game is going to sell bonkers regardless because it's a follow-up to God of War 2018. And two, what are they going to show? Like if they just kill us like and just hit us with demo after demo after demo, I think that would be a mistake. Now, I think clearly we're probably gonna get a PlayStation State of Play that dives deep into God of War Ragnarok, but I don't think they're gonna give us a whole lot there. Sort of a opening combat encounter, much like how they did with 2018, where, it was pretty much just, we saw the Lake of the Nine, we saw the World Serpent, and then we just saw the little hunting demo, right? Like that was about it to my memory, where they're hunting for the deer and then they end up fighting a troll and stuff. Like that was it. And then when we got the final game, that obviously came out to be different. But other than that, like our marketing beats have been very similar to what we got in 2018. And look how big and surprising that game was. We didn't know that game had open world elements. We thought it was going to be a linear Last of Us-like type game, and it's way bigger than that. And now that our expectations are set to a certain bar, I think in terms of scope, yes, we are going to see something similar, but I think it's going to be bigger. I think a lot of it's going to be more impactful. But I think mechanically, in terms of controlling Kratos, we can't get too much more. But we can when you include the idea of Atreus and switching to Atreus. Now, that has to be an entirely different type of feel, with Atreus just not being a beefy Kratos type character, and using a bow and arrow as his main weapons and stuff, and probably some daggers, much like the Norse myths. I think we're in for something really, really different. In a way that it will feel a lot like the first game, but I think it'll be enough change to where it will keep us excited and keep us in the moment and really like foaming at the mouth. I think they're intentionally keeping Atreus a secret specifically because they want their Metal Gear Solid 2 moment with it. Now, this one is telegraphed a little more because we know Atreus is a thing. But, at the same time, like, I don't, like, people are not going to be upset to play Atreus when that happens, unless they kill Kratos in, like, a stupid way or something. But I think people will be excited to play as Atreus. I think people want to play as Atreus. There's an argument to be made that like people don't want Kratos dead, but I think that's the right step.
Mm-hmm.
Especially following breaking the cycle of patricide in the last game. And just the way that these Greek myths work, it's a lot of tragedy. People die. People take revenge. It happens. I think Freya is poised to kill Kratos right now, or maybe the World Serpent or Thor. Who knows? Like, there's a lot of people who are poised to kill Kratos. I think Thor is clearly our big baddie, and that's who we end the game killing. I don't even think we fucking talk to Odin. I don't even think we talk to him. I don't think we see him. But I think Thor, clearly we see him. And there's a lot of really interesting narrative choices that we can make in that game that I think could elevate this title to something that would excite everybody in the same ways that the first game excited us. It's just a matter of if they do it, and if they do it in a way that works. But we'll have to see. In terms of hype, the closer we get, the more and more excited I am. I'm ready. I'm ready for God of War. I'm not like foaming at the mouth for it. I'm already more excited for games like Spider-Man 2, even though that's further away. But there's built-in fandom for that. But like, Ragnarok is a game that I'm very much ready for.
We only have 2, 3.
We got a month in like a week, 2 weeks.
Really, a month in 2 weeks?
Yeah, man.
That seems a bit.
Oh no, you're right. 2 months. 2 months. Come on, because we're leading into September. I'm sorry. 2 months. 2 months to tell. And then just so everybody knows, we will have a review. The first episode after the game comes out. So the game comes out on a Wednesday. So we'll be playing it Tuesday night. Twitch.tv/2pennygames. And then we'll have a review go live for it on Monday, or we'll have a review go live for it Sunday night, which will probably just be a review in progress / impressions type thing, because I'm sure it's going to be a big game, and me and Connor are busy people, and we don't have time for it. But then the first week of December, we've already marked it as our December book club video 2 Penny Game Club episode. So December 5th is going to be our game club episode of that, but it'll double as the God of War Ragnarok spoiler cast. And then for those keeping track at home, we've got Chrono Trigger coming September 12th. We've got Portal coming October 3rd. November 7th, we're going to do Dishonored. And then we're going to finish off the year with some God of War Ragnarok. Sound good?
Sounds good to me.
There we go,
I like it.
I like that too. That sounds like some good video games that we about to play. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for your 2 Penny Gamescast episode 110. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Remember to subscribe to the YouTubes, the Spotifys, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all of that. Every Monday, 8 a.m. Central Time, we have a new episode where we give you the new news in the video game industry and talk about what we've been playing and all that. There's a new YouTube short up live on the YouTube and the TikTok channel, 2 Penny Games, all about my current game of the year, Power Wash Simulator. Please go watch that, like that, get the algorithms boosting on that. It's a lot of fun. I think it's currently our best made TikTok. I think it's my personal favorite.
It's because you spent so much time on it because you wanted your perfect game to be represented perfectly.
I actually didn't. I'm getting pretty good at this. I'll tell you what. I spent a lot of time putting together the Resident Evil 4 ones. Those ones were hard to put together. This one, easy peasy. Yes. But yeah, go please check that out. I think it's our best one to date. YouTube.com/2pennygamescast or TikTok 2 Penny Games. And then twitch.tv/2pennygames to watch us play video games live whenever we can. I'm trying to get back to it, man, but I just don't have time. I'm trying my hardest, but I'll get back to it eventually. Give me some time, and I'll do that. But until then, Phil is holding it down over on the 2 Penny Games side. Thank you so much for that, Phil. And then until next time, everybody have a great time. I'm Tavin, and Connor, say goodbye to the people.